Hello everyone. So today I wanted to share my experience of using Emacs Lisp. Now, I was reading one article, I believe somewhere on Reddit. Usually, if you go to Reddit, uh, there is always some interesting discussion about technology, and I sometimes read and follow some of those conversations on Reddit. And when it comes to Emacs, when it comes to org mode, we want to customize Emacs. The way Emacs works, you have to customize it, and you have to basically make it your own. And that often involves, in almost all the cases, some level of understanding of Lisp, because you need to basically, you know, do those customizations, change variables, and do few things like useful things, of course, to make Emacs work for your use case, for your workflow. Now, what I wanted to talk about mainly in this video is that I never really learned Lisp like properly. Whatever Lisp I know, first of all, I don't really think I know Lisp. It is just that whatever I had to do, it was more about searching online, of course, Stack Overflow articles, org mode tutorials, and I just modified things because if you know how to code in few languages, then using a snippet of code and modifying it is not really a big deal. I think you need to have some basic understanding of any programming language, and you will be fine. Of course, if you're learning, if you have learned Lisp, then I guess it will help you. But at the same time, because I never really learned Lisp, but I was still able to configure Emacs. And in most cases, what I wanted to actually talk about today is that in most cases, like 80% of what you want to do with Emacs, I don't really think you need to learn Lisp. Of course, if you have time, learn it. Why not? I have tried learning Lisp a couple of times in the past, but I was never really able to do something useful with it. The only use of Lisp for me is Emacs configurations, and for doing that, fortunately there is plenty of information online, a lot of resources, and because it is Lisp is a very old language, and at the same time Emacs has been there for a while, for many decades. There is plenty of information. I mean, I believe you will find articles, posts from early 2000s easily, and you will find a lot of information about different. If you're trying to do something with Emacs, I'm sure there is some information online. For example, if I show you my configuration of Emacs, which is basically nothing but Emacs Lisp. Now, there are usually you would change some variables, right? It is of course one very simple use case, and if you are learning Emacs, I guess changing a variable, once you know how to do it, you can actually do it very easily. You can do it, of course, globally for your Emacs. You can also do a few other things like you can also enable or disable modes based on some specific conditions. For example, if I want to do something with line numbers, but I only want to do it if my Emacs version is less than a specific version, you can of course do this. Again, a very simple conditional way of doing things. You can also enable or disable other modes very easily. For example, in my org mode, I want my org mode, my file, to look nice using those because you have to use asterisks, and you have to use like 1, 2, 3, 4 asterisks, and it doesn't really look good. If you're using something like org bullets, which you can of course enable, you can do that. And majority of the configurations, if I look at my org file here, it is all about, okay, specifying the agenda files, or maybe specifying specifying couple of directories from where I want my org mode, my Emacs to pick up those agenda files and add it to my agenda variable. And also there is one specific use case which I want to show you, and that is basically my org mode publishing. Oh, before I talk about publishing, let me also show you the templates. For example, in your org mode, you want to, I'm sure you will, if you're using org mode, you will have to use your own template so that you can do things quickly. And those templates could be maybe for just some template, or maybe code blocks that you can insert quickly, like this, which I have done here. But if I talk about like majority of Lisp, Emacs Lips, which I wrote, it was basically nothing but some configurations related to my blog. Basically, I have configured my Emacs in such a way so that I can publish my blog. Like a couple of my blogs are actually published using Emacs. And basically what I have done here is I have defined some variables, and these variables are basically, when I define these variables here with some HTML, it will add some header or footer, and maybe it will generate index. And you can do these configurations. And by the way, it is all well documented. You just have to make it your own. For example, if you want to insert some JavaScript, you can. And it is, if you look at it, it is, if I only focus on this part, it is mostly the HTML, basically just replacing the variables. So this is what I have done with my Emacs configuration, and I don't really think you need to learn Lisp. If you have time, go for it. If I have time, if I will ever have time, I will definitely learn Lisp, because I like doing these things. But if I look at my schedule, if I look at my workload, I don't really have, unfortunately, any capacity to, or any time to spend on Lisp, Emacs Lisp, because for me, whatever little I know is more than enough for my needs. And that is all I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new. Thank you very much. Bye bye.